Welcome to Planning Phase Syndicate. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight on this amazing episode, number 96. Tonight, we're going to be list archetyping. We are, baby. We're doing some more list archetypes. We're going to be starting our deep dives, and we'll get into that in just a minute. After that, we're going to be having a conversation about a survey that we're hoping you'll help fill out that can help the community. And if that wasn't enough, we are going to be talking about ranking some fun pilots that we have not ranked before. As a quick reminder, if you would like to donate to the show, you're welcome to subscribe right here on Twitch, or you can join our Patreon, or if you would like to give a $5 or more donation to help get prizing support for Michigan GT /stream support, you're welcome to PayPal us, and you should be able to donate $5 or more, and we'll be entering you into a raffle for a Phoenix Cell Squadron pack. With that being said, let's bring in my co-host for the night. Please welcome to the show the benchman, the henchman of the bench warmers, Mr. Alex himself. How are you tonight, sir?
I'm doing quite well. How are you?
Good. It's very cold in Michigan. All of a sudden, it was warm. I was enjoying it. Now it's cold. So
it was 80 yesterday, and it's gonna snow next week.
Yeah,
I love
very disgusting. Also, welcome to the show, Mr. JJ. The Giants still suck. Johnson, how are you tonight?
Johnson. I'm doing all right, man. Just in the middle of moving. I'm going to be moving over to my new apartment next week. So luckily it's not as bad as my first move back in August. I have far less crap that I need to pack, but I basically have to dismantle this entire center so that way I can move it and reset it up in my new place over the course of beginning of next weekend. So not looking forward to that, but at the same time, it's going to be nice being in a on a one-story apartment instead of a third floor. So
I would definitely say that would be a benefit, because I don't know if I'd want to carry all that stuff upstairs.
Yeah, exactly. The first time was not fun at all, man. Oh my goodness. I mean, this is like a hybrid between my office and my stream table here. But I got monitors everywhere, computers everywhere, cables out the ass, and geez, yeah.
Well, if you didn't know, this weekend I went to an alpaca festival in Allegan. It was very different. I bought something, though, that we talked a little bit about last week. Cal was obsessed with ponchos, and somebody bought himself a poncho.
Yes, I saw the photo of it. It was pretty glorious. You look very warm, for real.
Yep. So I bought a poncho. So I thought that was kind of fun. We got to see some alpacas. I don't know what you do at at that type of a festival, but what I will say is it was us walking around, not getting to pet them, and then we watched them put on a little show, kind of like a best in show, whatever they call those dog show type things. It's the same thing with the alpacas, and there's one of them that did not want to sit still at all. Like, it was very ornery and angry that it had to be out there, I think, on display, But hopefully you all had a good weekend. I don't know if anybody else did anything fun. I know Alex said they were celebrating something this morning.
Eastern Orthodox Easter is today.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Do you say congratulations or happy Easter? I don't know what you say for that.
I don't know.
You went to it.
What if you combine Orthodox and Easter and just made it oyster? Happy oyster.
Happy oyster. Did you guys have oysters there?
No, but I had calamari.
I do not like
Fancy.
calamari, but I know a lot of people do. So
It depends, because there's some places that make it very like chewy, and I hate that. And I prefer them when they're like crisp and light, and you
Like-
can just eat them. Like
I like that, and I like the breaded ones that are just like better onion rings. It's delicious.
yes, that's the best.
well, maybe you'll someday you could take me out for it. The ones I've had are not been good. So
Yeah, it's very hit or miss.
well, with that being said, what I wanted to do was a couple of different things tonight, right? So the first thing, there was a survey that people that wanted to be filled out, right? So I'm trying to remember the gentleman's name, but they did it on GSP. Was that like a year ago? Help me out, guys. I don't remember. There was a survey that somebody did
Yeah,
about a year ago.
I believe it was in Sorry. It was the same person. Yeah.
Okay. And so they're trying to help build some data for the community, and what they wanted to do was kind of put a survey out for you to be able to look at, right, and fill out for them. I have not filled mine out yet, but I do know that this was a pretty good survey that they did before, and I believe it was for their college, was it not, or something to do with that?
Yeah, that sounds about right. I filled out a couple of this.
Yeah.
So anyway, so essentially it's called Return of the Surveys. It says there's 6-1. Essentially what they want you to do is kind of go through and fill out the faction that you normally fly, your secondary faction, and then kind of talk about which of some of these different ships you would like to see in those factions. So the reason I wanted to do this is because I kind of thought this was pretty cool looking. Like I said, I have not filled mine out specifically, but based on all these other different ships that we had in there, like I didn't know Krennic had a different shuttle at all. And we see an Umbarian starfighter. That seems pretty cool, right? Like that would be fun to have in X-Wing. And now I just wonder if this guy works for AMG and like got hired by AMG and none of us knew.
That would be pretty cool. I mean, especially if they can like submit this to AMG, if they have like a sufficient amount of data. Like you need like what 10,000 people to make it like a good sizable amount of data, right?
Yeah, so I don't really know like what any of these ships are. So I went with the
know.
cool looking ones. That one that you mentioned, whatever that little
This one, the
crazy
Umbarian.
one. Yeah, whatever one that looks kind of like a gun from like Halo. That's the one that
Yes.
I want.
I agree with you. I actually would love to have this.
I don't know what it is, but it looks cool.
Yeah, so essentially this is if you want to help fill out, I guess we get to fill everything out to go to the next page, but if you want to help this gentleman out, he would really like it if you could do that as well. So I don't know. So maybe JJ will fill it out, and maybe next week we could share what we filled out.
Oh, I've already filled it out. I could tell you right now.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember what I filled out with.
So, I mean, as far as primary factions in X-Wing, it's kind of a little difficult for me because I play every faction. You know, I make it a point to try to play every faction. So I tend to fill it out with whatever I'm playing at the moment. So I put it in as Empire because that's what I've been running as of late. And then my secondary faction for this would have been the Republic. So those are the two I've been dabbling in as of late. So what about you guys? Chris, I know you're CIS, obviously.
Mine was easy. CIS and Scum.
It's also incredibly difficult for me because I also make it a point to play everything. But I just throw on the Republic and the Resistance there for first and second, just because that's what I've been playing a lot lately.
Yeah, that might all change, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Then it says, which 3 ships do you want to be in X-Wing miniature? So obviously we're going to choose this one.
The Thai Dorito?
The what?
Thai Dorito?
Is there a tie Dorito? Where's? Oh no, no,
Tie
no.
Dagger, the first one.
Yeah.
No.
Damn. I think that's
So
what I went with.
It's like I think about that ship, right? About like, you know, how it would work on the FO, and I'm just trying to think of the space that it would take in it, and the only thing that I can come up with a comparable, like, you know, role for the First Order is similar to the TIE V1 for the Empire, how it has like the Barons and the Inquisitors. I mean, I think that's a good way to introduce Force pilots for the First Order through that ship.
So obviously, I want my Marauder, and I'm gonna go with Resistance.
Yeah.
Because I think Resistance needs more ships. Personally.
Yeah. I went with the Resistance B-Wing because I just love the B-Wings, but I was actually really torn. I think I want the TIE Echelon, which is the shuttle, mainly because I've seen it so many times at Galaxy's Edge, and I've always wanted to see like that kind of like a better medium base for the First Order. I think that they would benefit from it. So
I think I did the dagger, that gun-looking one, and like the fan blade. Is that what that was called?
Yeah, that's
I think that thing looks
the
stupid and amazing.
they'll never do that one, but that's like
Oh.
the Asajj ship, though, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
fancy.
So JJ, when do you? I guess I don't know. What do I put? I don't technically fit in either of these, any of these.
Well, I mean, for you, I would say since the FFG to AMG transition at best. But for me, I've been playing since it first started. Like I remember being like one of the first people to play the first core sets when they first released. And had a really bad experience, but you know, here I am, man.
I did roughly around Force Awakens because I think I was like maybe in a year or so after that.
Yeah.
How many
And
events
then-
have you intended? Plus your game
Ooh.
nights. Oh, well, that's every week. So we'll just say 42 weeks out of the year. We're almost a quarter way through the next year. So that's 52. Oh, I hit over 30. There you go.
Mine's probably closer between 20 to 29, mainly because it was a little difficult in Orlando.
Christ, mine's
but,
not even
yeah.
close to that.
Yeah.
You guys are so lucky.
Yeah.
What
and
is
obviously,
your...
like competitive play.
Yeah, for me, I tend to play competitive play mainly, but if I'm like testing out different lists and stuff, I think I get more out of that in a semi competitive environment, because I'm just testing out the list, so I'm not 100% like trying to be ultra competitive with it. I'm just trying to feel it out. So I think I get more of those type of games than actual like competitive game.
So here's where they say,
Whoa.
I don't know what that was. So
I thought you were censoring yourself for a second.
Yeah, great timing on that.
I don't know, literally don't know what that was, but that sucked. All right. So how do I feel about the overall between 0 and 6? So we know it's not 0 and we know it's not 6. 4, it's probably 4. I enjoy them, but there are a few notable issues.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. That's my sentiment for it. I definitely do enjoy a lot of the changes that they made. However, there are some glaring issues that could be addressed, but it's not a deal breaker for me. So,
Oh my God, this survey is forever. I regret now saying we're going to fill this out on stream.
It's a solid survey, though. Like, it actually, I'm very, very interested to see where I am, because I am like all over the place. Where it's like, how frequent do you play? Almost never. How
You're like,
competitive
not
are
at
you?
all.
Very. Well,
What
you've been
is
playing
your-
a really long time. Are you happy with all the changes? Yeah. I like them.
yeah,
They're all pretty much like a B. Like, all the objectives to me are like a B or higher. You know, like, I don't dislike them. Salvage is... It depends on what I'm playing, but I don't mind salvage too much. But that's definitely my least favorite out of all of them.
What is your favorite scenario?
assault.
Assault.
By far.
Everyone's favorite scenario is assault.
Assault. Yeah.
What is your least? I think scramble.
Scramble. Or salvage. Salvage.
Nope. I think scramble for me.
Ooh.
I want to say salvage for me. Yeah, salvage.
What is your favorite rules change?
I think the random order after dials. It just really helps reinforce the building to the full squad points and not have to worry about the severe underbid like we used to. I mean, hell, I could tell you as a person who used to like build like with a 15 to 11 point bid. I'm just so used to building out all the way and just like the fully kitted stuff. So I do enjoy random order after
I think
dials.
I'm one of the 3 people that chose the squad building changes.
All
I
right,
think they're
you're
super cool.
weird.
I
You're
love
weird.
it. I like having even crazier options for just my degenerate jank that I'm going to fly.
Yeah.
Now everyone gets stupid toys. I love
So
it.
mine is scenarios, obviously. So this is, I was gonna say I have 2 that I hate the most. I hate squad building and I hate the bump range 0. But I think the range 0 attacks are the worst for me.
I agree.
I
Now
hate those.
for me, squad building because there's just so much lack of granularity that we feel right now in the game that would solve a lot of the issues that we currently have right now. So I think that's my biggest gripe. So
Ah, humbug. I like it.
Are you interested in more competitive scenarios? Yes. Jesus Christ.
yes,
Are you
anybody who
interested in
doesn't put that,
new scenario packs?
yeah,
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
What do
I
you
mean,
want? New ships. Oh my god, like that's simple. Give me new ships. Like
yes, agree. New ships.
I might have actually put pilots. But,
it's close to the same thing. I agree with you on the pilots, but I want new ships.
I just want new stuff. And pilots are really easy to just, hey, this is
So
really cool. Hey, this changes this, how you fly this particular ship completely differently now that, it's a
yeah,
different pilot kind of thing. I like that.
yeah, I do agree with you there. Like just having extra pilots for those ships just helps you give you more options and it keeps it like more fresher that chassis. But at the same point is like I there's so many chassis right now that are struggling to have different options out there that only have like 4 pilots available and really you're only taking maybe 2 of them at best but really only 1 pilot for those chassis need help. You take a look at the X1, right? It's basically either going to be Vader or Merrick Stell, and that's it. Like, there's hardly any other options out there. I mean,
You have
Juno like
Juno
made a
now.
splash. Yeah, I know. I'm
Yeah.
saying, but like Juno made a splash, and it was nice to have her as an option. But we need that more for some of the other stuff, right? Take a look at the what Ubel did for the type brute. We need more stuff like that, more pilots with very interesting abilities that help bring that chassis out of obscurity and help put it on the table more.
And Sicko is still one of my favorite pilots to play. He's so fun.
Yeah.
Just it's a side slipping lat. Also,
Yeah,
it's just going to
that's so
rotate
fun.
its arc. It just does whatever it wants. And a broadside people. I
Right?
love it.
It's so good.
See, also, like minor problem. Sometimes when you add new ships, you don't really add much. Like what happened in the Republic, where it's like, well, you have like the clone Z's, which are like roughly the same to like the V wings, but worse.
Yeah.
Or like the Z95s and Scum, where it's just like I could take this, or I could take like the Seek Interceptor, which is just kind of better.
Yeah. If you were to choose a chassis to get new pilots, which one would you pick?
Whew. I don't know, man. I love them all. It's hard because like my head goes to Scum, and I'm like, but Scum has a bunch of stuff. None of it's costed right, but it's got a bunch of cool stuff in there. We go to
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like for
Resistance needs
me,
more ships, though. I'll give you that.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, resistance definitely needs
It's
more
got like
ships.
12 pilots every ship.
Yeah, like for me, I would love to see more stuff for the separatists. There see a couple of more like pilots, named pilots, to make it out there. I know that the identity of the faction is like the droids and stuff like that, but it would be nice to have more options for some of those chassis, like the Belbalab, for instance, could use somebody other than Grievous to really make you want to decide if you want to like pick that over Grievous, and of course, with the right pricing, and just further expand on that, or see more fire spray pilots that are not like Django, and just make it better. Like I think Aura Singh would have made a bigger splash had it been priced a little bit differently, but it is what it is.
Or if it had a crew slot,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
Emperor Palpatine on Aura Singh just does not sound fun.
Yeah,
To
exactly.
me, it does.
Just force double stress.
You do know if Aurora had came in at 7 points, we'd be running Django, Aurora, Grievous. It just so you know, like
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, you can make her 7 and make Grievous a 6.
All right. So let's move into our roll call segment. In this segment, we are going to rank some pilots based on a scenario. So we have selected 4 pilots. We gave Alex the ability to select 2 tonight. But we are going to rank 4 different pilots. We decided to do some large base ships and 1 medium base. We're going to rank Pre Vizsla in the Gauntlet, Bo-Katan in the Gauntlet, Poe in the Falcon, and Gideon in the Z shuttle. Xi shuttle, whatever you want to call it. JJ says EZF. All right, fair enough. So let's go ahead. Let's begin with Pre Vizsla. And in the past, what we used to do is we used to rank pilots between an S and an F. S obviously is the highest ranking. Basically would mean it's an auto include in every list in that faction. And obviously F tier would mean Torkel Mux. That's kind of how I see that someone. So anyway, so we're going to start with Pre Vizsla, the leader of Death Watch. While you perform an attack, if the defender's initiative is equal to or greater than yours, you may spend 2 charges to roll 1 additional die. Now, it will immediately say it is a pain in the ass to remember that equal to or greater than yours, because you cannot shoot Finn with 5 dice. Just remember that.
You shoot BB-8 though.
You can, yeah, you can shoot BB-8.
He's a better pilot.
No.
He's higher initiative.
All right. Well. All right. So let's begin with CIS and Pre Vizsla. So I'll go ahead and I'll start with Pre Vizsla for assault. He's very, very, very good. Has the ability to stop. I give him an A. To me, he fits very well into that. I think assault again is probably one of the easiest things to rank things in. He still gets all his actions. He could do his stop, turn, rotate. He could collect 3 points, 2 turns in a row, and you aren't going to murder him very much. Chance, I easily give him a C. I do not think he does very well on chance. He gives up half points, and with only 2 shields, it makes it very easy to get a hull breach and then watch him just be murdered away. Salvage, I would give him a B in. I do think he actually can do some things to counteract and deter people from knocking that crate off. You don't do barrel rolls or boosts, so you could do almost anything you want with Pre Vizsla. Typically, with Scramble, I give him a C. I don't think he's very good in Scramble at all. He's your I want to murder things ship, not your let's take an action. He's also low initiative. So the issue I have is you can take it, somebody takes it back. Especially if you're a Jedi. The only thing you did is tell the Jedi you can't have a target lock and a focus, or a focus and a barrel roll, or a focus and a boost. That's all you did. So, who's next?
I mean, just to contend on Scramble, I would give him just a slightly higher rating for Scramble, mainly because he does have enough loadout to equip passive mods, namely Bo-Katan Crew, which gives him that range 0 reroll. I've flown Pre-Vizsla quite exclusively for CIS for a while, and just having that range 0, like setting yourself up to grab a scramble action and then block another ship that's coming in, and still have that passive mod, that reroll range 0, makes Pre-Vizsla pretty good to have that shot and still deny your opponent that action if you can set it up correctly. Granted, he doesn't have the best way to pursue other like a ship that he wants to take off the board, but he can still take up a lot of space, and you can set up a block easily with that large space there. So I would give him a B. He's not going to be the best. Again, initiative 3, but that also initiative matches a lot of droids that are with CIS, and that helps you kind of manage how you want to do those activations on there. So it just really depends on your list, but I think he's rated a little bit higher for Scramble.
So you're saying the exact same as me, except for Scramble's a B.
Yeah, everything else I agree with you. Is just Scramble for me. I would rate it as a B. So,
all right, Alex.
Okay. I would probably say, actually, I would give it an A for Assault. Mostly because it's a large base with the ability to stop, and more importantly, the ability to take, like, just crew, like, that will, like, they'll give you passive mods. If you do, like, the swivel, right, you can have Savage on there, which is really good. Or, yeah, like JJ was saying, like, Bo-Katan's pretty nice. You can even put, like, the Death Watch commandos on there, and that doesn't necessarily help for Assault, but, like, just the flexibility and loadout, I think, helps it to both occupy a place and also be able to stop and kind of mess with everything. I would give it a C for Chance. You know, it's still a gauntlet. It's kind of hit or miss. Can hit really hard, though. For Salvage, I think I'd just give it a C. You can pick up a crate, but it's still like 2 agility. I mean, if you rotate, there's 1 agility, and that you can get popped off. And as much as I see people put marksmanship on Pre-Vizsla, that's more of you had 1 point left over
exactly
than actually doing anything useful with it. So
that's exactly right. Yeah,
it exists. It's just that's more of a fault of really wacky loadout points there.
Yeah.
For Scramble, I think I would actually give it a C as well. Just like you can hold a spot, like, and you can block pretty well, but also you are still a 3. And if you're going for like maybe one of the corner scrambles, then you're out of the fight, and that's not where Pre-Vizsla wants to be. So, like, just kind of in my head. So you have to like set up scramble pretty weird with it, and then your opponent has to help you out with that. So
Yeah.
All right. So overall, it comes in between C and a C plus, essentially. All right, let's do the next one. Bo-Katan in Republic. After you fully execute a maneuver, you may gain 1 deplete token to choose an object in your front arc at range 1 to 2. If you do, another friendly ship may perform a target lock action on that. Perform a target action. That's dumb.
Target lock action. Yes.
To lock that object. That's just the stupidest wording I've ever heard of. I guess I've never fully read that wording before.
Yeah. It's just one of those things that they didn't write out, correctly. But Bo-Katan for me is actually a very underrated like gauntlet. Now it does get looked over a lot, mainly because of its point cost. It is a 7-point ship that has 20 loadout points, but because you want to usually fill out your your list with a lot more beefier, cheaper ships, you tend to overlook the cost, or you tend to look at her cost, and you can easily put in a 4 point and a 3 point ship that have almost the same amount of health and put them into your list. So that's why we don't see Book of Ten as much on there. Now, as far as what she does in the different scenarios in Assault, she gets an A. She has access to Mandalorian optics, which can allow her to get that lock early and provide that lock to another friendly ship, giving basically making that offense a lot better. You can equip her out with Plo Koon crew, being able to get a purple reinforce and then taking off like negative tokens at the end for an enemy ship or a friendly ship that's in the side arcs. And then you got that large base which can contest 2 different objectives if you keep them close together, 3 if you're really good at it, and Bo-Katan at Initiative 4 can get in pretty good shots in there for what she can do on there. Being able to carry 3 different crew and a gunner with 20 points, you can definitely get a lot of different combinations between the different clone stuff. So she is a powerhouse and can self-sustain very easy on there. So definitely an A on there. Enchant engagement, again, having those high having those high loadout points, allowing her to get better versions of her action, especially the reinforce, allows her to retain her points very well, and she can basically power up everybody else around her, especially if you have ordnance carriers, and you can deal a lot of damage that way to try to get half points on your opponent. Meanwhile, it's a lot harder for them to do the same to you. So for her, the initiative kind of kills it a little bit, and her points cost, I'm going to give her B minus for it, but she's
You
still
can't.
a
You
decent.
can have a B or a C, JJ. We're not doing
All right,
minus.
we'll do B. I'll be generous and I'll
Jesus.
give her a B. I don't want to give her a C, but at the same time, I don't feel she like deserves a B. But I'll give her the benefit of the doubt and give her a B for it. For salvage, no, not the best. Sure, you can equip her out with a lot of passive mods on it, but because of her cost, you're less likely to have a lot of other ships that can pick up the slack for her not being able to do that. Um, Having 2 agility on there, also pretty easy to fall prey to the Darth Vaders or the marksman ships or proton torpedo ships on there. So I wouldn't give her the best rating for that. I think she actually shines the least in this particular objective. I'm actually going to give her a C for this one here. For scramble, I think probably good. With large base being able to get ahead, block opponents, and still provide target locks to your friendlies so that way they can punish those ships that are blocked. Definitely worth it on there. I'm going to get it for a B for scramble.
Sounds like you should be running Republic, JJ.
Sadly,
please, JJ, play Bo-Katan
it was out of my
Republic
thing.
Gauntlet. Please, I will play you every game if you're going to play Bo-Katan Gauntlet.
All right, Alex.
Okay, well, we're going to go with the caveat of why are you taking this ship instead of 7B Anakin? Or like Contrail, like a 4-point ship, or however you want to do that. But
Wolf.
Regardless, so
yeah. Wolf Contrail,
yeah, Jag Contrail, get that going. So Assault, I'll give her a B. Her. Yes, I'll give her a B because she's still a gauntlet, which is a large base that can stop and pivot. And you can put passive mods on her. But she gimps her own offense, unlike Pre Vizsla, which is why Pre Vizsla is an A. For Chance, I'll give her a C. I just don't think that the only kind of cool thing you do with her that she has 2 missile slots, so you can put on like Diamond Boron. So that's actually kind of cool for like Assault or Chance. But yeah, in my experience, when I play gauntlets, they generally die really fast. I'm not sure if that's just because I played a lot of Rook, and Rook is like straining himself, or is it like I don't know. So, Salvage. Put a C, just because you're not good at carrying. Like you're okay at carrying crates, I guess. You do have 2 agility. You could put a force on there. But you're not good at knocking crates off. And scramble, I'd put at a C because you are like an initiative 4. I mean, you can put on like Ahsoka Gunner is actually kind of funny because you can both pass a target lock and also give them a red focus token, and then have them move, so you can like set up munitions pretty well. So you don't like need an action per se to like coordinate for something like that. But I don't like this ship. I don't like specifically Republic Bo-Katan. That is such a garbage ability for everyone. Like you don't need that in the Republic. People can just take locks. They have the Force. You have synchronized council inside the faction itself. You don't need to gimp your ship to give other people locks. That's just my opinion. I don't like this ship at all.
All right, fair enough. So in my rating, we're gonna skip the assault for a second, and we're gonna go to Chance. I'm actually gonna give her a B in Chance, and I would give her an A if she had better fire output that she doesn't have. And I gotta say the reason I give her a B in Chance is for the pure fact that she could take C-3PO crew. That's why. If you did not have C-3PO crew, and I will say I have this. The problem with this ship is that it takes up so many points. There's not a lot of offense, but it can tank points. So this ship, even in Chance, is still very good at hoarding points. But it's all because of the C-3PO BS. Without C-3PO, you're not. Yeah. It doesn't work. It would be really cool if she could take a Discord missile, but they don't exist in Republic. But that would have been really cool because you could get to calculate, you get the missile slot extra, you could take you could use it to shoot a Discord missile.
You can do chaff missiles if that makes you feel any better.
It doesn't, but but yes, I mean that would be cool, but not as cool as a Discord. So I feel in Chance, I will actually say in Chance that's in my opinion her best scenario. I would in Salvage, I would actually, I don't know, like I would say in Salvage, I would give her a C because she's still the problem is the offensive output comparatively inside of this faction, right? In this faction, it's not maneuverable. There is so many other options. I would say she would be a D. But in Salvage, I have to give her that C because she still has that C-3PO crap and can still, live and help maintain that crate longer than you would think she could.
Yeah.
Personally, for Scramble,
quick note for that: you can actually put C-3PO with Yoda, so you have 2 calculates and 2 force.
All right. Well, I did not know that. I don't think that's good, but maybe it is.
What do you do when you roll blanks?
You just re-roll it with C-3PO.
Dedicated.
I give her a D.
Dedicated, yeah.
I think she's awful in Scramble. Like you have no firepower, and you don't have you have to spend 10 to 12 force point or 12 to 10 of her loadout to get for that force, and then you want the C-3PO, right? So then you have to spend the money on C-3PO, and now you're between 16 and 18 loadout, or 20 if you take Yoda crew. So like I think if she had, let's say she had like, I don't know, 30 loadout, this changes things. Or if she was 6 points to kind of compete with a lat and kept the same loadout at 6 points, I would rank her a tiny bit higher. Just for the pure fact that I do think while she doesn't provide the reroll support, she could provide a tank. And you're right, we could see, like, because I think you could run C-3PO, you could run Mando optics, right? And then you could run some sort of a missile and have a few points left over. Why is betting open? Did you open betting, JJ?
No, I didn't, but that's hilarious.
All right. Anyway, for assault, I give her a C. Damn it, stop it, Deslin. the only thing that, in my opinion, I value there is the fact that she's a big base. That's it. She doesn't have contraband. She can't stop twice. Like, it's not like any other thing. She can't take Baby Yoda. Like, there's just nothing. I don't know. There's just nothing. I'm not very high on that ship either, Alex. So I know Corey is. Corey loves that ship. But
The Republic
specifically Bo-Katan Republic is
yes. He was running that like all the time. And again, like I said, if you play the cards right and you try to invest your time killing Bo, you lose. Like, you do not win because Bo does not want to die. But she also doesn't put out like a shit ton of offensive output either. I don't know. So there is that's kind of our rankings. JJ really loves Bo, so I think JJ should have to solely. Actually, you need to change your faction in Nickel City and run Republic. That's your new faction.
Dude, a B- is not love. It's appreciate Bo.
No, okay. So I think our overall ranking comes in. I don't know. What does that come in at?
That's a C. Yeah, it's at a C.
All right. So let's move on to the next one. The next one that we have is going to be Poe Dameron. Oh my God. He is 7 points with 25 loadout, somehow more than Bo-Katan has at the same points level.
With 2 better abilities.
Yeah. Before you execute a maneuver, you may spend 1 energy. If you do, ignore obstacles. After you fully execute a maneuver, you may spend 2 energy to perform a white boost action or a red barrel roll action. Then, if you perform a red barrel roll, expose a damage card, if able. You can only do this if you have a damage card.
No, why would you want balance?
Exactly.
I love this card.
Anyway, so Alex, we will let you go first, probably, since it's yours.
Okay, I am going with As for Assault because he has a free large base I6 boost every other turn. You could also sloop and boost. You're also still large base. Like, there's no other ship that is faster than you in this game. Add your large base. You can be wherever you want. You can go through obstacles. Go through obstacles to get to the assault place. Who cares? Whatever. You have an ability. Chance, I'll give him an A. This is mostly from experience because people are either like, I can't invest all this time into trying to kill this Poe that I'm never going to catch up with, so I'm not going to bother shooting him. Or, oh God, he hits really hard because he has Ray Crew. Or, well, I did some damage to him, but now he ran away to the other half of the board and I have to go through 4 other ships to get to him. And he's also only 7 points, so when you half him, you give up 3, which really is not okay. For salvage, like, I would give him a C. I don't run him with like Chewbacca for like the native crits in there. And you can pick up a crate and then just keep plowing through asteroids the whole time. But a really big part of Falcon Poe is that he boosts. If he's stressed, you still have engine upgrade, you can continue boosting for 0 repercussions, or every other turn he boosts, and he also barrel rolls. You can do both. You can barrel roll and boost, which I've done plenty of times. It's not okay. But you'd never pick up a crate with him.
Yeah.
And for Scramble, I would give him an S tier because 1, he can large based I6 boost to get to the Scramble point. And 2, you're I6. And 3, you have Ray Gunner. Like, you have all the mods you need. And the ability to get there. at the highest initiative level. It's really silly. I love this ship. It's like what my buddy Matt, co-host, listen to the Best Benchwarmers podcast. He said this is exactly what he wanted Han to be in the Falcon. And I can kind of see where he's coming from with that.
Yeah, that's true.
That's my gosh.
All right. So I'll go with mine. I would also agree he's an S for assault. No need to harp on that piece of it. I don't agree. I would actually give him a B in chance. Personally, I feel that he is good in chance, but you are right, you're only giving up 3 points, but you can kill Poe if you focus fire on him. And yes, he can run away, but he's still a big base. He can only run so fast. So if I half point you and force your Poe to stop engaging with me, whatever. I don't care. I just took out a ship that does insane amounts of damage, and it ran away. So I don't think that they live forever. I do genuinely enjoy him in chance. But on the opposite side, I think in salvage, I give him a B as well. And it's not because he picks up the crate and carries it himself, because he sure as hell does not want to crate ever in his life. Does that Falcon want to crate? But it's essentially because it enables him to work with whatever ship does pick up those crates, right? So it is a ship picking up another crate, and it is not him knocking off the crate as much as it just is him murdering ships. So you shoot at him, he notoriouses you. If you don't take notorious, then he's doing weird, crazy maneuvers and always getting a shot on you. Poe's time on target should always be almost 100%. And the only time I ever would deviate is in chance. In chance, you may have to run a little bit. Other than that, Poe should have 100% time on target. And I agree with you for Scramble. I agree. To me, it's S tier in Scramble as well. Because you don't care, and it's the same as Django. You have a forced crew. You can do whatever you want. You're an I6. You have reposition and all sorts of you can actually. He's probably better than Django because he can reposition and scramble.
The boost too, like a large base boost, that covers so much ground.
Yeah, so disgusting. JJ?
Yeah, I definitely agree. In assault, just being able to have that big base in there and have the passive mods, his loadout definitely allows him to get consistent dice on offense while being able to contest objectives. He's definitely an S tier on there. For chance engagement, I'm a little torn actually. I actually, and this is just from my experience, obviously, on paper, Poe is really great. He has all those loadout points and is really fast. The only problem that happens with Poe is the psychology of, if I'm getting hit too much or I'm getting engaged too much, I'm going to run. And I can't tell you how many times that I can force the feint. I'm going to go into Poe really hard. They run away, and now they're beyond range 2 of the center, and I've turned in all of my ships to take out the rest of the ships are in there. I've actually had the most amount of 2-point contesting and getting the 2 points in the center for chance engagement versus Poeless, because they do just that. They'll run away from the center because they feel that if they stay in there, the rest of my forces are going to go in there and severely damage Poe, or they stay into the fray and it actually happens. So because of that thing there, I'm going to give him a B, because I feel that he's not the best. He's either going to stay and die, or he's going to run away and not contest the center, which is big. For salvage, definitely agree a C. If it turns off his ability, he loses that panache that he has to get away and still hit very hard. That being said, on offense wise, especially if you have Notorious or Trick Shot, that just improves his offense, or helps the rest of the list's offense to go in and knock out those crate carriers. But beyond that, he doesn't want to carry a crate. So it's going to be a C for that one. For Scramble, definitely, I think S tier as well. Just again, that loadout helping him out at I6, being able to contest that like Scramble and objective and still have passive mods to still get consistent dice and attacks with his ship, even if he's bumped. Still really great. I think that he's definitely S tier.
All right. Still comes in at an average of an A.
Yeah.
So. The last one here is Gideon Hask, Merciless Hardliner. That's a stupid title. While
Better than a
you
difficult man.
No, Poe is a difficult man though. While you or a friendly small ship at range 0 to 2 perform a primary attack against a damaged defender, if the attacker rolled 2 or fewer attack dice, it may gain 1 strain token to roll 1 additional attack die. Seems pretty good. Alex, do you want first dibs on this one too, since this was your other one?
Sure. I really like Gideon a lot in this shuttle, but it's not like he's doing like all of it by himself. He's mostly just this really incredible support sheet because you just staple like Terex onto him, and then he's either passing out calculates and jams. Biohacks. He's got 2 tech slots, so you do like biohacks and like maybe like pattern analyzer if you wanted to. I like the fact that he can coordinate. Oh man, just like he's got 2 talent slots, so you can do like elusive and proud tradition, and then do like a stop, right? So you get a reroll and your focus back. And he can kind of turn other FOs that aren't Scorch and DT into Scorch and DT after they roll. The timing on that's kind of silly. I don't know why they do it that way. You roll 2 dice, see if you like it or not, and then roll another one.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like Scum Forlom, where you like see their dice, or you see your dice before. That being said, in Assault, I would give him a B. He's a medium base, which is very nice. I mean, it's not like it's hard to get around him. He does have a stop, though, and that's pretty good. He's just really... Like, he's not your main, like, he might actually just be your main assault getter. I don't know. I'm going to go with B because I'm confused now. Chance, I'll give him a B. He, is for some reason only 4 points. So you have him, you get 2. He does have 2 agility, 7 health. He does strain himself a lot though, but mostly just the support that he's giving really helps out the rest of your ships in Chance. In Salvage, I'll give him a B too. Like, he can pick up a crate. He's a 4, so it's like just low enough that he might actually get there. 2 agility. Mostly he can just pass out jam tokens with Terex or just jam with himself. And I think that helps out a lot for like dice mods. Like, you can't get target locks to reroll into a crit kind of stuff. And I guess it's kind of funny, if you have Proud Tradition, someone could take the crit and knock the crate off themselves. That's an option they can do, I guess. And Scramble, I'll give him a C. Although he doesn't like necessarily need all of his actions. He's still a 4, and he's kind of a lumbering medium base.
All right. JJ.
So I've flown Gideon Has quite a bit back when I was using him with 4 FOs with Snapshot. It was a very fun list because you can potentially just get the damaged defender right from the snapshots and then roll with 3 dice. Gideon really depends on the rest of the list that you bring on there. He's not going to be that ship that's going to attack very hard. He's just going to enable everybody else to do it. At initiative 4, he does initiative match with a lot of the good pilots that we see in the First Order that happen to be initiative 4 or higher as well. So he can really boost their offense there for it. Being a medium base, really good at assault, just being able to just get in there and just contest stuff. He's not necessarily going to be there to do damage, although he could potentially do that because his ability does affect himself. But having access to Terex, having access to the Jam, having access to Proud Tradition, he can stay put in those locations and really help just contribute to the fight just by being in a spot and helping contest those objectives, while the rest of the list has to move in and out of that engagement spot. And Cass can just be that plug for that area there. So I'll give him a B for that one there. For chance engagement, a little harder because for chance, your health is your resource, and by giving yourself strain, you're allowing your opponent to get that potential, more than likely, extra health damage on your friendlies, especially if they're getting shot at from lower initiative ships. So he kind of makes it easier for your ships to get half pointed, especially if he uses the ability on himself. So I'm actually going to give him a C. Despite his support abilities, just his ability to give strain makes it easier for your opponents to get that strain on that. He's also, the dial just doesn't help him keep time on target either. For salvage mission, I want to give him a C, mainly because while yes, you can use his action to go in there to take a crate and go. He's not going to hang on to it very well. He's not going to be able to get away with it. And if he puts himself out of the way to go grab one of those crates, it's going to be hard for him to get back into the fight. Again, just having difficulty getting that time on target is tough. Not being able to rotate or do K turns or anything like that. It's hard for Gideon to really be an effective force while carrying a crate on there. So for that, I think I'm going to give him a C for that. Scramble, kind of the same thing, although you're not really carrying a crate. You could just sacrifice one of your actions. I think this is where his loadout points does become an asset for him, being able to have those passive mods with Agent Terex. I think he does a little bit better in this scenario because he doesn't have to focus on just keeping a crate and like gaining points that way. He could just help block the path for somebody else to claim that objective, and just perform jams to make sure that other enemy ships don't have tokens to support themselves for it. So for this, is a little bit higher for me. I'll give him a B for that scenario for Scrabble.
All right. So I guess I don't know. To me, an assault, it's a B. It's very simple. He's there. He could be there. He doesn't obviously need his actions per se. I don't think he particularly excels at there, but I also don't think he's that bad. For chance, I'd say a B as well. I don't think in chance he has any real big downside if you invest your time in him. Killing him, good for you. Also, he doesn't need to take the strain. He doesn't have to do it. We've watched him never do it for how many times and still live. So I have a hard time saying he's not decent at chance. I will say salvage is kind of the same thing. Really, to me, in salvage, it's the B as well. Just because you kind of want to pick up a crate because then it forces people to shoot at him, right? And if they're not shooting at him, he's taking Terex. He could get his calculate. You have the ability to be an all around support for the rest of your team. Plus, you got a crate. I don't. You're not boosting or barrel rolling, and you could stop now. Back in the day when you couldn't stop, then sure, that was a different thing. I will say for Scramble, I don't like him in Scramble at all. You don't almost ever want to take the Scramble action, and you can't coordinate a Scramble action. So that's kind of where I kind of feel he filters out at. So he's between a C plus and a B minus ish for that.
Okay.
All right. So those are our roll call pilot ranking by scenario of the week. So I think what we're going to get into now, the piece that we have left tonight that I want to talk about is for our Academy 101 portion of the show. We've been covering List Archetype. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a deep dive here in just a second. So with that being said, we are looking to start to wrap up our List Archetype analysis series. And essentially what we did is we spent the first one defining it. The second, third ones essentially defining each of the different faction or each of the different types and then giving them a ranking, kind of like we did with the pilots, based on the factions. Our goal was to review each archetype that we believe is in X-Wing miniatures, dissect strengths and weaknesses, define building blocks, review scenario actions, and then the very last thing we wanted to do is break down each archetype, looking at it at what lists belong to it, whether or not these lists can cross different archetypes, if there's some versatility here, and then kind of look at each of the different lists from there. So we have 6 archetypes that we define, plus a 7th dual class list, which essentially we don't really have to do anything with, because if we define this as a dual class, we know a list belongs to it. So for for the next couple of weeks, we're going to be looking at different archetypes. We're going to be taking each different one. I don't know how long this is going to take. I don't know if this is a quick, easy kill or if this is going to take us like a whole episode. I have no idea. But I felt what I wanted to do is kind of talk a little bit about, like each of the different archetypes, like what lists we could build with it. We could kind of build some lists on the fly. I felt that it was somewhat silly to build them ahead of time, but we could do that. And then I kind of wanted to talk about counteracting some of these lists, right? So we talked a little bit about how well they excel, what they can do to, win those scenarios, but we didn't talk about exactly counteracting them for that. And we also just kind of want to talk about, how do we want to rate this within there? So, is there anything I'm missing, guys, that you want to cover with this before we get into our beef squad?
No, I think we're good to go.
All right. So essentially, if we go back, these are what our averages came out. So what we did is we did all this ranking here, right? For each of the different types. Alex gave me a lot of shit on certain types that he didn't agree that we should be ranking. So we'll save that one for last. But here's kind of what our average scores came out to be. So we have aces, alpha, beef, control, salad, and swarms. And essentially our total, between our total and average rank, aces came in lower, the lowest out of all of them. Everything else came in around a B. So, the 2 highest rated ones were the salad and the swarm, which I found very interesting that the swarms came in that high.
Yeah, me too.
And maybe it's just because I was very down on swarms when 2.5 first started. I don't know. So what I felt we would do now is let's take the beef list, right? Let's take that beef and let's talk about it in this context, right? And so the first thing we want to do is we define beef as similar to ace list. Basically, it's consisting of medium and large base ships mainly. You have a high value loadout. You can maximize your efficiency with mods on objectives and engagement, and you have enough health that typically you don't see one ship go down in a round. So, for example, if you can one round Jag, good for you. That's pretty hard to do. But if you can do it, maybe it's not designed to be in a beef list.
Yeah, no, definitely. Definitely the beef list that comes to mind is definitely that Siege of Coruscant list from the Republic, having both of those arcs as well as Contrail and Kickback, and then a Z95 usually stub on there. that is quintessential beef, especially for the Republic.
All right, so hold on. Let's go back. So you're saying Jag and Wolf?
Yeah, Jag, Wolf, Kickback in the Torrent, Click in the V-Wing, Contrail in the V-Wing, and Stub with a shield upgrade.
So all the SOC stuff.
Yeah, the only thing
And
that
Stub.
SOC is Stub. That's it.
Well, can we consider him SLC? I mean,
No, he doesn't have the ability. That's important.
all right. So, Alex, do you
Mhm.
feel this is a beef list?
Just given like the defensive options you have between like the evade, you're giving people a kickback, and Click's ability, and then the SOC focus stuff, like it's pretty beefy. It's going to be hard to alpha a arc off the board. It's not impossible, but it gets real hard when you have 4 other people sharing focus tokens with him, and then one other guy giving an evade. So it's just like in this particular list, you can't really just focus fire on things, and that's kind of what I think it is good about like beef. Like when you approach a beef list, especially if you have like an alpha list, but like if you want to focus fire or something, you want to get it out of the way, and beef list is just too much of a. It's just they live too long in order for you to like go in there swinging and expect to like get advantage out of it,
Yeah. For me, this particular list, right? Mainly because I played this a lot in my locals, or rather, I played against this a lot in my locals here. The main part of this list here is it covers, especially those 2 Arc 170s. They can cover a lot of ground with their medium bases. They have a wide enough arc where they can get shots on the same target usually, and be able to get good shots on them after they've basically tanked the shots that they've received in kind. Being able to have Click as well to help it survive those range 1 attacks and return a range 1 attack with mods back at them makes them very powerful to take down ships, or even using it at range 3. Click's ability being able to negate that range 3 bonus allows them to still attack pretty well at a distance if you decide to try to like be cagey and try to like get around the list. The list has a lot of different tools to stay into the fight and claim those objectives. And despite the amount of ships that you can go in there and be offensive, it's actually very good at keeping objectives between salvage, between scramble, between chance engagement. Just its ability to stay in the match and just contesting those objectives, making you dance around them where they're going, makes that list effective because it can just stay in the fray and be a threat the entire time. So that's what makes this list a very good beef list.
All right, so it seems to check all the boxes. Do we feel that this list matches any other archetype?
It could be. It could also.
It's not a could be. It's a yes or a no. Like, do you feel it?
I want to say
not?
yes. Yes,
Okay.
it could be counted as a salad list because you do have 4 different chassis in the list that can fill different options for you, especially if you're looking to spread out a bit and contest several objectives. And each one of them has their own role for what they can do on the list there. So they can blend between the two archetypes.
Do you agree, Alex?
Yes, but I also feel like it doesn't play like a salad list that we would normally like consider. It's just kind of like there's not a lot of difference between like torrents and like Z95s, So it's they do different things, but they kind of don't.
Yeah, so if we go back and look at our salad list, though, and see, this is where the difference between the beef and a salad list, right? So a beef list has that staying power, but not super ultra offensive. That's what this list does. This list does not kill things an insane amount, right? Like you're not going in and just insanely murdering everything you come across. Especially because you're spending most of your mods to live, which is fine because that's what you want to do, right? Like you want to live. The salad list would have different initiatives. These initiatives seem pretty similar to me for the most part. They're 4s and 5s. You do have Jag at 3, so Jag is a little different.
Stubbs at 3 too.
Yeah.
All right, Stubbs at 3, but you're not a ton of different. And I think you hit the nail on the head, Alex. It's the difficulty to fly. Most of these ships are flying very close to identical versus not. Most of them fly because you have to fly them in a specific pattern to get the stuff off you want. I think the big thing here is it does not excel at any one objective, but not particularly weak. This list is weak at some objectives. If we were to take this list, it probably does very well at assault to some extent. If you get the assault objectives close enough together, but once you start, if they're super far apart, it's going to have a really hard time. This list does very well in chance engagement because it's worth nothing, but does it really do well with scramble and salvage? And that's kind of the bigger key, I think, is the fact that it does sacrifice stuff in, whereas the salad list would not. So we're gonna go and classify this list as specifically beef. Okay. Now, we got to talk about countering the list. What are counters to this list?
Well, I think alpha strikes are a very good counter for this particular list here. Now, I say that with the caveat that the person running the alpha strike on this has to range control very, very well. Typically, you want to focus fire on a single ship, so that way you can run the minimal risk of any return shots coming back into you. Now, you take a look at like some of the alpha strike lists, like the proton torpedo carriers from the Rebellion that can shoot multiple proton torpedoes at initiative 5 or initiative 6. That helps them get that damage in there early, despite the token sharing that this particular list has, and be able to eliminate those ships on there. That's the hard counter, I would say, for this particular list is, if you're able to chew through that health, especially against the Arc 170s that only have 1 health, that's it. That's where this list begins to fall apart. The other part of it too is that being able to knock out the defensive pieces early, for the beef list helps reduce its ability to maintain its health. Now, in this particular list, you look at click, being able to deny the range 1 bonuses, or if you take a look at kickback, being able to provide those evade tokens to the friendlies. Those are 2 of the biggest linchpins for this particular beef list that help it stay alive for a long time. So yeah, I would definitely say an alpha strike list would be the preferred way to take this out.
I am so on the opposite of that.
All right.
I actually think they're a hard counter to alpha strike lists. That's how opposite I am.
Okay.
I just think, yes, you can kind of range control it, but also you can just not joust the alpha strike list. Like, it just seems like that the whole point of alpha strike is that they might not have a lot of great defense, but like you are taking things off the board before they can shoot at you. And then a beef list, they have the staying power, they have they're not getting taken off the board, so it kind of thwarts whatever alpha strike's doing. And then generally just have enough consistent shots coming back at them that you start outpacing them in their advantage. I'm not gonna say it's gonna go one way or another, but like the whole point of the alpha is that you have to get them out early. They're like an aggro deck in any like card game that you do. So if someone's like playing stall, you're just kind of run out of gas by the time that you should have already won, kind of thing.
Okay.
So do you agree though that kickback and click are kind of the linchpins of starting to dismantle this list?
I mean, you want to kill click, that's fine, but click's never in the fight. Honestly, I think if you just go after an arc first, that's probably your best bet. Even if they have, a focus and an evade, they still want agility. So if you have consistent 2 and 3 die attacks, that you'll eventually wear them down, and the bulk of the offense is coming from those 2 ships. Because they're the only three red dice ships. I mean, you got like the Diamond War missiles or whatever, but then he doesn't have an evade.
Yeah.
So I actually agree with JJ that kickback and click are kind of linchpins to some extent, though. I do agree with you. Your target, if you can kill an arc, and I think this kind of depends on what type of list you have, right? If you could kill an arc, so if you're an Alpha Strike list, you want to kill it. You want to kill an arc. You want to kill Jag. Actually, you don't want to kill Wolf as much as you want to kill Jag, because fucking Jag is gonna always have a target lock. No matter what you do, Jag is gonna have a target, and Jag is gonna burn your FTC. By the way, when you don't want him to, more than some like. That's what's the most infuriating thing about flying against this list, is that list will come at you. Jag doesn't take the target lock, he takes a focus. And oh, by the way, somebody else shoots and then pops your FTC, and then you're just screwed either which way. Doesn't matter what you do. So anyway, so for an Alpha Strike list, I think it is. I think a control list, personally, does very well against this. And I say anything with Jam, like Nightfall. Jam works very, very well in this list, as well as bombs. You drop bombs, you're going to start killing these ships. Contrail will drop an ion bomb if Contrail is far enough away and Contrail's in the back. But like Contrail's not going to be in the center dropping a bomb. And that's where actually I would always argue that though the SOC is great, I would switch this list up and get rid of the SOC Contrail so I could either take protons or seismics, because that would make him so much better, just personally. Anyway, but I think control lists are the bigger weaknesses to this list. And then Alpha Strike lists would be kind of after that. If you can murder the ships, you have to be able to take a ship off the board every turn, though. And that's how you can start scoring your points, because these ships are going to score points. Like I said, in Assault, this list is amazing, and in Chance, this list is amazing. Just super good. Just because you don't care what points you give up with this list. I mean, if you half point Contrail, you get 1 point. That's it.
If you half point most of those ships, you get 1 point off of it. It's disgusting.
Yeah, exactly.
And Kickback has that extra health, plus Diamond Boron, plus it's an I5. Ugh. But I feel control lists are probably the biggest.
Click has the extra health too.
Yeah, Click has the extra health too. Yep. Yeah, it has three.
If you put the shield upgrade on Stub, you up 3 ships half health ratios, and that's dirty.
Yeah, it is.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Now the other list I think that we should mention on here that's a very popular beef list is in Scum, namely Boba Fett, Kanan plus company. I mean, you can do another fire spray, you can do a gauntlet. Usually you see it with Rook. That is a list that we've seen when one of the Galaxy events. That is a very popular archetype run in Scum, and I would absolutely consider it a beef list. So essentially, your heavy hitter here is always Boba Fett and the fire spray, just being able to get those passive mods at range 0 to 1 whenever he's performing the attack. Kanan Jarrus, usually with a force user or force crew rather, namely Maul is probably the most popular option, being able to reduce the attack dice for your friendlies, helping you keep alive. And then your third ship can be whichever big version you want. It could be Rookcast, which is really good on offense. It could be another fire spray, or you can put it in Dengar if you really want more of a higher initiative ship that can really punish really hard, and basically pick your poison on there. I would think that this is probably the most common beef list that we see from Scum.
All right. So you think this is a beef list, and is it just because of Kanan? Is that like
Yeah.
your major?
Kanan and the passive ability of Boba to constantly reroll on defense.
I think this is definitely not like a traditional beef list.
I feel like it like plays as a beef list though, because you have like the Gauntlet's 11 health, and then Kane. It's mostly Kanan, and then like you said, you know, the Boba Fett rerolls and like the just having force enough to continue living and being a pain.
Yeah.
All right. So hold on. Let's add that.
So, Alex, taking a look at that list, what would you think would be the archetype? Do you still think that that the same strategy would apply, like what we did against the Republic beef list? Do you think that strategy would still like work for this particular list?
Well, the target priority in this list for sure is Kanan, and the problem is that you kind of have to get to him. And by doing so, you have to typically just go through Rook with Boba Fett also just crushing you. So again, it's like you can target like the linchpin is Kane, and that's the highest target priority. It's just getting there is the difficult part. Like with the last Republic list, just yeah, it's unless you have something that's like the fastest ship in the game, Falcon Poe can just go through all the obstacles. It doesn't care. It's hard to get to Kanan. And then bombs. What do you think about this one in relation? Because like this was also another list where you just like clearly the beef archetype is just like you are not going to alpha like Boba Fett off the board, right? You can't alpha Rook off the board. Like I feel like an alpha strike is basically useless against this list, especially when you're rolling 3-die torpedoes.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. Alpha strikes here definitely don't work particularly well on here, mainly because Boba Fett is looking to be at range 1 constantly with this one. And Alpha Strike lists typically tend to melt away whenever they have a really powerful ship that can consistently get 4 hits. They spend most of their actions just on offense, and switching them into defensive mode by nature just turns off their greatest strength, which is the Alpha Strike, attacking from range. So yeah, I definitely agree with you there. I think a control list probably is the best way to handle this particular list, especially if you can control Kanan and where he's keeping his arc. If you could force Kanan to be in a really good spot, or at least be outside of the range of his companions, then the list starts to fall apart easier. But yeah, you really open your flanks and your rear into getting hit really hard by Boba Fett, or getting shot right up the front by Rook Cast, just so you can go and get that one part, which is Kanan.
See, and I would almost say swarms are also possibly something that could reduce it. Again, Boba is kind of swarm impervious, but I will say if you're shooting into Boba with 3 dice, 3 dice, 3 dice, 3 dice, 3 dice, it will wear Boba down. I don't care what it says. Boba can't take 2 ships off the board all the time, every turn. Unless you're flying the swarm incorrectly. Then you can.
And Kanan only has 2 charges.
Yes.
So you start shooting at him and doing damage. So the more ships you have on the board, the better it'd be. I would actually be really interested to see this list versus the last Republic list. That seems like a really interesting matchup in my head. Wonder how
Beef
that
on
would
beef?
go.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, that's a conversation that we haven't had as yet, right? Do you counter a beef list with a beef list?
I don't think you can like consistently plan on countering other beef lists with your beef list, but you can definitely like that does it creates some weird matchup problems because you're both supposed to outlast each other, so you really have to see which is better, like Boba Fett's consistent rerolls and high health of Rook, or just having 3 more ships on the board.
Yeah.
See,
I
and
think
I
Right.
say I almost think that the Republic list probably wins out against that. Um, on most scenarios.
We only throw in like 1 or 2 dice, with Kanan. Ooh.
True, but at the same you're right. But at the same token, you only have 3 ships, so obviously your target priority is Kanan. But I think that's where that Diamond Borin comes in, and then if you get that's when I would just drag Contrail away from the group and throw Contrail in there and say murder Contrail in one sitting, or he's dropping ion bombs on you, and your ships aren't moving.
It's true.
Again, it won't affect Boba too much, but Boba not being able to boost is huge. Huge. And Boba can't just joust this list. Boba will die if he jousts this list. Guaranteed. That arc, can you imagine Jag being able to throw 4 double-minded dice, like 2 turns in a row? I'll just throw click in there and force you to come kill Jag. Like it's pretty disgusting.
Yeah, Click's really good against Boba for denying that extra die at range 1. It really helps out a lot.
God. Yes.
I think that I would almost just invest in Chaff Cloud on Boba just to break all the Republic's locks and tokens and crap. And yeah.
All right. Is there any other beef lists that we want to cover that kind of stand out?
No, that's it for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's not like lists that I'm like, this list is obviously a beef list. I mean, there's certain like ships that I think are like, well, if you're going to build a beef list, this is probably going to go in there kind of thing, but not like a full on. Like those, I think, are probably really good examples of just beefy boys.
Agree. Yeah.
All right. So is there anything else we want to do for beef lists? If not, we can wrap it up for tonight. And
the only other consideration I would say for this is also the objective, or rather the scenario that's being played for this. I think that the scenario itself holds a lot of significance when you're playing against this list there. And if we go by the numbers, right? Obviously, chance engagement, I think that's where beef really shines. They can really hold that center objective. And really contested and stay there long term, making it difficult for you to also stay in there, especially if you have multiple arcs that are like bearing down on you. It kind of discourages you from going into the center and contesting those objectives there. Scramble, it's a little more difficult. It really depends on the number of ships that you have in your beef list there, or if you have less amount of ships, how action efficient they are. If they have like passive mods that allow them to sacrifice that action to do scramble action, that's where you might be able to get the upper hand on the beef list, particularly if they're not very maneuverable, or they're very action dependent. That you might be able to get the upper hand on there if you're not able to kill them consistently. For salvage mission, again, the number of ships really matter for the beef list. And if you have a beef list that's really dependent on their movement as well, like the fire sprays and Boba Fett really relying on that boost to get into or out of arcs, really matter for them. So typically they're not going after those salvage crates because they rely on having those reposition actions to help them be flexible for it. And what are you guys' thoughts on scenarios?
I think, yeah, pretty much in alignment. I think scramble would generally just be their worst one. I think salvage is generally okay. I mean, you're kind of built the last. Chance is good for that. Assault, generally, you're having medium ships, or at least they stick around, so you're not going to like kill someone while you're both contesting it, kind of thing. I also totally remember one other beef list. Double Desi. Not the 4U.
Yeah,
Double
double
Desi.
Desi.
Double Desi and like triple TIE Fighter. You can run that.
That's right.
All right.
And-
So you're saying, so you just think Morna and
Morna Oiken and like 3 Black Squadron Aces is a thing people have flown.
the next question is can you fly Bo, Catan, Pre-Vizsla, and 3 droid? Same thing.
I don't know why anyone would.
I'm just asking the question because, I mean, it's 2 large base ship.
with
Yeah, but
reinforced-
like the Decimator's a little bit different.
All right. So if you were building this out, what would you put on each? Who gets the title? Morna?
No, Oiken gets the title.
Yep.
Because he needs that because he's actively ramming people.
and Death Troopers.
Yeah, and you put Death Troopers on Oiken for sure, because that's just not okay. And generally, they both have Ruthless.
Yeah.
Because they're just going to eat each other alive. And then what, you got a gunner left over for like 5th brother on Oiken. And then Morna, because you're a Decimator and you're not Vader, you have to bring Vader in an Empire list. I mean, yes.
You don't have to.
You should.
I like
Crew
Seven
Vader
Sister.
is disgusting.
I
I
still
like Crew
Seven
Vader. Yeah, but yeah, Seven Sister, and it gives you a little more points, especially if you want to put in like Tua to get the extra reinforce, for those things,
Yeah.
or an agile gunner.
Yeah, probably like an agile gunner on her or something. I mean, but Vader hits so hard.
He does. I'm not gonna lie. He does hit very hard, but it just also consumes a lot of points versus like some of the other Force users. There is a huge amount of flexibility for those Decimators with their loadout that make them very, very effective. Honestly, so whichever you pick for that, it's good.
Yeah, Ruthless Vader to agile sounds pretty solid. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Would you ever consider Saxon?
Yeah, I've actually seen some Tiber Saxon on there on some Decimator builds. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like bad. You do have, I mean, your whole list is shooting after. That's fair. It is kind of a bully thing to do, Vader and Tiber, though.
And then you'd have to drop Ruthless. You could drop Ruthless though and run Tua, Vader, and Tiber.
Yeah, that sounds great.
But like the whole point of Tiber is that you have Ruthless to get the other one. And maybe you go down to Seven Sister, but then they have a token, so it's kind of weird. Yeah. I am not a double Decimator person. I am one single Decimator and have Grand Inquisitor crew on it, so I'm way off on all of these. But that is it's a beefy list though. That's how much, like 30 health to go through?
Yeah. So same question on this one here. Does our counters for this apply to this particular list?
16. Oh my god, there's 38 health in this list. That's disgusting.
I mean, I would say control 100% is the way to this list. Though I don't know. Sometimes I do wonder if Alpha Strike, I don't know. Alpha Strike's not really helping you either.
So for me, it really depends, right? Because although it is a ton of health, right, to get through, Alpha Strikes tend to really do well with dealing critical hits, which the Decimators are notoriously susceptible to get a really bad crit chain that can either kill it fast or completely cripple it. Either giving it like a damage sensor array so that way it can no longer reinforce, giving it double stress, which limits their dial severely, giving it a weapons failure, which neuters their offense a lot. The decimators can really suffer from those crit effects, and I think that's what's really good about the alpha strikes, being able to deal that amount of damage to the decimators to help it die over time. Definitely, it is a race against the clock whenever you're playing against this particular list because it has that much health. But if you're able to consistently get, or at least focus fire on one of those decimators and really cripple it, then you have a better chance of winning the game. You don't have much to fear from the three TIE fighters, other than the bumps that they can help prevent you getting those target locks for those ordnance shots. But other than that, if you can get a really solid initial shot, concentrated volley on one of those decimators, you can effectively neutralize it out of the game. So,
Alex, do you think the same thing?
Yeah, I mean, well, hull breaches on decimators. That's why you bring novice tech. But like,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, this one is a little bit more susceptible to like specifically proton torpedoes, but I think it's a little bit more resistant to control than the you would typically find in beef, just because you have. I mean, they are zero agility, but like you have, two large bases, and it takes 3 ions to get them. I guess they're susceptible to jam, but also they have the force. Tua can hold a reinforce and walk in with another reinforce kind of thing. Boykin's just doing whatever he wants to you at range 0, and that Death Troopers, if you build it out with Death Troopers, it's real nasty in the scrum.
Oh yeah.
Like no one can take a force, and then they just start eating damage from like Vader or something like that, So
Yeah.
yeah, I guess it's a little bit more susceptible to alpha strikes, but I think it's a little bit more resilient on a couple other matchups there. It's interesting how you get different beef lists there's still subtle variations in beef lists.
Now, if you were picking one of the other two beef lists to go against this double deci, which would you take?
Ooh. I feel like the Republic one would do better, just because you can probably surround those ships better. But like having 2 die decimator shots is really funny,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
that's where all your offense is coming from. So it's just like, well, cool. Well, you can rolled up and rolled 2 dice at me, and
Yeah, I feel Boba Kanan the better into this list personally.
Yeah.
I think they're both just good against this list.
Yeah.
So the last one, we do have one more list. We're gonna go through this list because I think this list is a beef list as well. 4 U-wings.
Okay.
I don't know how to load them out though, because I don't fly Rebels. So
Sure. For me, a staple for 4 U-wings is usually Leia Organa crew, which helps keep those U-wings in position wherever they need to.
but on
Uh,
which ship?
You can typically put that on either Magva or Saw Gerrera. Those are the ships that typically a little more beefier, especially with Magva's ability to deny the rerolls. And then you can outfit the rest with different stuff. Like you could put Generso on Cassian. Benthic is always going to have Perceptive Co-Pilot, and then just fill it out with whatever you need. The best part about this list is, if you manage to keep it together, is having selfless to help spread the damage between all the ships. And if you want to talk about beef, my goodness, that is very, very good on just spreading out the damage between your ships. It is just really good. It just makes you discourage shooting criticals at this list.
did you just run Benthic with Jin, Perceptive, FTC?
Yeah, I do
Yeah.
contraband because
Yeah.
you do
Contraband.
stop. But
Contraband, yeah. Because you're using Magva to defend against the target locks, basically.
You just put Contra on all of them.
Yeah. You can have two turns of consecutive stops if you wanted to.
What are you putting on Cassian?
K2SO selfless and
Yeah. K2SO.
like ablative generally works kind of well with his ability. Ooh, you
And then you have 4 points on Magma.
I mean, you could also do ablative as well if you wanted to, or you could do selfless and then novice tech.
Which is it? I don't fly any stuff.
I would probably go with selfless and novice tech for Magva.
You want to know how I would load these out? Because I just like built it out.
Sure.
I think it's kind of scary. Okay, so it's like Benthic with Perceptive, Jin, or so Contraband. That's probably going to be pretty consistent. For Saw, I have Selfless, Leia, Ursa Ren, Contraband.
Oh, Ursa Ren, yeah.
Or
that's
FTC, depending on how you want to run that, especially with Ursa being on there. For Magva, I have Notorious, The Child, and Deadman Switch. So that's a real deterrent from shooting a really good part of your list.
Yeah.
And then Cassian with Selfless, K2SO, and Ablative.
So hold on. Magma's got Dead Man, you said?
Yep.
The Child.
Yep. I mean, I guess you could put on Tail Blaster if you want to run her by other people. That's fine too. You just need a 2-point illicit so you could take Notorious.
Oh, yeah. Notorious instead of selfless on Magma.
Yeah.
That's actually really good. I like that combo.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah. It's kind of because you get the locks back onto Magva with the Child, but Magva means you can only re-roll one of them, and then you're only re-rolling one dice into a Notorious Magva. It's not fun.
I think I found my list for this week for NCX.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That's a lot of to go through.
Oh my gosh. Ooh. that is some nasty work here. Ooh, love it.
Yeah. That's like just right off the top, kind of how I would run them. Especially because like Saw just automatically gets locks on anyone who's shooting at Magva because Magva has the Child.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah. My goodness, that is ridiculously good. I like that a lot. That's so good.
So then the next question is, right? So we have so then it's Notorious that's kind of the deterrent.
On your defensive piece. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what your target priority in that kind of list would be.
Yeah, for me, if I'm looking at this list holistically, I would say Magva is definitely the deterrent piece, right? Because it really discourages you from having like you getting rerolls on offense, especially if you're relying on like ordnance to deal damage against these ships. That basically makes you use the focus more often, and between Benthic being able to pass off potential evade tokens to your ships, it makes the list very, very good at resisting attacks and having just being in position to contest different objectives with Leia and contraband cybernetics and such. Cassian Andor as well, being a very good piece and removing stress as well, helps further that particular style of play, just being able to stay in position on there. As far as strategies to counter this list, it's actually really tough. I mean, I kind of want to lean on control, just to force your opponent to do one straights so that way they don't stay in the same spot. But at the same time, it's really hard to do that if you don't have rerolls, right? I mean, target locks are just slightly better at getting a hit or crit results than a focus token would be statistically. So by nature, you are making it harder for them to get consistent, reliable results against you. Um, but I don't know. I don't know exactly how I would counter it. I mean, I think control is probably the answer for this, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know what you like. Like Leia is such a pain that you kind of want to go after Saw, but then you're only making him stronger.
Mhm.
And then like you only get one reroll, and then Magma's just coming up to you with double force. You gotta calculate pass somewhere in there, a focus pass or an evade. Anyone could just like Magma can just take an evade as long as she's by Benthic, right? Like now you have an evade, double focus or double force, and one reroll against the ship,
Yeah.
and Notorious at an I3.
Yeah.
And still somehow I think that's your best target you shoot.
Yeah.
Like if you
Well,
go after Benthic, he just takes double evades. He doesn't care, whatever.
oof,
And
man,
double
that's
evading
tough.
a calculate from Cassian.
That's
So
good.
really, to me, then you need to outplay it on objective play.
Which is kind of an uphill battle with U-Wings, but yeah. They're just kind of the whole point of this whole segment, right? They're just kind of a lot to get through, and it's kind of a pain. And you're not gonna take all four off during a game. You're probably not gonna get two.
Yeah.
And with all of them being 5 points, you only give up 2 points in chance. It's a tough 2 points you earned.
Yeah. This
And I
thing's
think you have to outplay them on objectives. I think that's really the bigger thing is, can you outplay them on objectives? And the only thing that they have going for them is not all of them are going to have a million target locks, right? So that's the big thing is if they have poor dice, they're probably not going to do as well. But what's the probability you have really poor dice, on 3 output? I don't think so. So, um, yeah, you just have to play around them in objectives, I think.
Yeah, they don't boost a barrel roll like salvage. They're still fine.
Yeah.
It's just I'm just trying to think like scramble. I guess would be their worst objective, which is pretty consistent. But just, ugh, I don't want to go against it.
yeah.
All right. Well, that was our brief deep dive for the show tonight. That kind of like as we're wrapping up our list archetype, segments. I think this is the the better pieces because it's the deeper dive. It's the bigger analysis into what you are going to possibly see. All of this might change, sadly, with points dropping here in the next 3 weeks. So we are going to try to hopefully get through some of these so we can get through the last of them. Because I think that's going to be the bigger construct here, right? Is if points change, how does it affect anything we've done, right? It may not affect it. It may just shift the list towards a different direction, right? Like a beef list may become a swarm and beef list. God damn it!
Oh, gross.
Oh, stop it! Oh, can you
5
imagine if
viewings? One.
can you imagine having 5 of them?
I
5 U-wings in one list. Yuck.
no.
Can
I'm
you
out.
even do that in 2 point? All right, we're gonna stop right there because it's just
No,
gonna
we
be a
couldn't.
tangent. This would be a big tangent. So, anyway, that's kind of what our focus will be for the next couple of weeks. As we get ramped up, I don't want to get into like I've heard rumors about points changes and this and that. And I just don't know if it's worth the discussion until we actually see points personally, because I heard a rumor that we're gonna lose Grievous and then but somebody's gonna give us like 6-point YT 1300s and like it's like all right whatever, like I don't, we'll see, like
6-point Poe. All right, let's
nope,
go.
you'll never get a
Falcon
6-point
Poe.
Poe.
6-point Falcon Poe.
Hopefully they take Poe and make Poe expensive at 8 points so that you run Lando. That's what I want to see. I want to see some
Okay.
Lando on the table, please. Or maybe I don't. Maybe I actually don't.
I mean, Rebel Lando's still really good.
I know. So
Scum Lando Escape Craft is almost playable.
So anyway, so that's kind of where the episode is headed. If you are newer to the show, or if you would like to help sponsor the show, you're welcome to donate to our PayPal. If you would like to help bring a live stream goal to prominence, we're trying to get some live stream games going into GT this year and into planning phase showdown number 2 that will be coming up. We still don't have that announced date because we don't know when store kits are dropping. So we are waiting to see till we get an official word that there's an actual store kit coming before we announce the planning phase syndicate showdown 2. We do have some other announcements. I guess I should have done this at the beginning of the show when everybody was around, but we do have some stuff coming up where we will be we are finally actually creating our own cards. We have some designs already in the works. I approved the designs for the first set series that we are going to be doing. We're going to be doing munitions to begin with in 2 different sets. That's going to be kind of our first token card set. So if you want, you could join our Patreon, and that will be something that we give quarterly to all Patreons in our group. And they will have unique tokens you do not get outside of planning phase. So we have somebody designing our tokens, and once I get permission to share their name here in a couple of weeks, we will share our designer, which you probably all know who it is, but we will be sharing our designer name and some of the stuff that we have here coming up in May. But if you would like to get in on the Patreon ground and get into the first set, you're welcome to do that. We also will be having them at Michigan GT. So Michigan GT will have our first set that we will be giving away as prize support for part of Michigan GT prizes. Right now, we are looking at capping Michigan GT at 64 people. Within the next month, we will actually have signups open. I just got to finalize one last thing to see if we're going to get Worlds invites from AMG or if I'm going to have to use Store Champ kits. We'll see. One of the two is going to happen, though. We're 90% of the way there with Store Champ kits right now. I'm just waiting on one final approval from the store, and I just got to have one guy sign off, and I will at least have 1 or 2 Worlds invites for Michigan GT. That will be the first weekend in October. So hopefully Alex is excited by that. Hopefully Alex has his invite by then, and then he can, help run the stream with me instead
Possibly. Yeah, if I have it.
So, have you guys gotten Store Champ kits out on the east side at all yet?
Nothing yet.
East side of Michigan. Nobody cares about you, JJ.
Not to my knowledge, but I'm still working on that.
So hopefully we'll have more Store Champ Michigan announcements here in the next couple of weeks as well. Like I said, I do know that we are looking to try and do one on the West Coast in May, or the west side of Michigan in May or June if the kits come in, to try to get the first one off the ground. So, all right. Does anybody have anything else before we wrap up for the night?
Just a quick update from the Nickel City League here. We're going to go into week number 6 over here. We're going to have a rematch between Team Punishers and Team Endgame this next week here, with Team Endgame having the home field advantage for this week here. We're going to have some exciting games going on here. Hopefully we'll be able to stream a few of them, but hope to see you guys there watching some of these games this following week here. We're going to the second half of the season here, and it's anybody's game for these teams. So we're excited to go forward.
Yeah, maybe we should have done build Tanner a CIS list, because now I don't want to run a CIS list that I've ran a million times. So I think I'm going to have to, I don't know. I was thinking of maybe not running any Django or any Grievous. Ooh, maybe just do a complete droid swarm. Just
Bo-Katan, Pre-Vizsla, and 3 droids.
That's what I'm going to, there you go. That's what I'm going to run. I'm running Pre-Vizsla, Bo-Katan, and 3 Discord missile droids. That's it right there. And
There you
you can
go.
see JJ's pissed. He's like, God damn it.
JJ approved. Nope,
Yes.
JJ approved.
It's not JJ. We know it's
I've seen what you could do with Bo-Katan, and I approve it. I'm okay. I'm okay with it.
All right. Well, that's the end of this week's Planning Phase Syndicate, episode 96. Thank you all for joining us. We will be back next week, Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 2100 Eastern, or 0100 UTC. That doesn't get old saying it that many times. Please join us next week for another amazing show.